firing a laser gun indiscriminately.
Has a proton pack.
It's completely safe.
I wouldn't say completely safe.
The Ghostbusters are finished.
Right, well, overruled.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Definitely not done. The Ghostbusters are returning to that infamous New York firehouse in a sequel, the fourth, that arrives in theaters today. And guess who's here in studio to tell us all about it? Jackson, who has seen it. So great to have you back. Just talking with Brian about a terrible story from 40 years ago, the famine in Ethiopia. This movie also, we are full of nostalgia today. 40 years ago for the original Ghostbusters.
40 years ago, we got Ivan Reitman, you know, the amazing Canadian team, Rick Moranis, Dan Aykroyd.
Sure.
We're back once again.
and what's been happening with the gang? Where are we now?
I have so much backstory. Let me see how quickly I can get through it. We have 5 movies. First movie, Ghostbusters, fighting, trapping ghosts in New York City. Second movie, same thing. They're broke, still the 80s. 2016, if you remember the reboot, it had an all-women cast. That's, you know, not part of the canon. That's just redoing the story. Then, recently, we had another movie that actually went back to the main Ghostbusters story. We saw the family of Egon Spengler, who was played by the late Harold Ramis. They have now gone to Oklahoma, to his childhood home. They have found out that ghosts have, left the world, and they have to bring them back. And they're now, in this new movie, caught up, back in New York, back in the classic firehouse, back fighting ghosts, and it's the family, as I said, of Egon Spengler, with at its core, McKenna Grace playing Phoebe Spengler, who is really what this whole plot centers around. It's a story about coming of age, finding yourself, shooting ghosts with guns. I think we have a little clip, and I can show you what that looks like.
Excellent.
Phoebe Spengler, you stay inside this car.
I have a ghost to bust.
All right, that was cool.
Harry, come on.
No, I know, I'm sorry. It's just the way she said it. It sounded cool.
Get back in here! I can't hear you over the nuclear accelerator!
So they're shooting the Hell's Kitchen sewer ghost, I think it's called. So we got a whole raft of new ghosts, a whole raft of new adventures to go on. Essentially, the story at its heart is about, if you've seen any of the Mummy movies, the same sort of story where there's kind of evil in a can, a ghost, a god trapped in a little device that may or may not get released to wreak havoc on the world, and the Ghostbusters need to fight back.
So I can see, there's new, obviously, but here's what I want to know. Is anything old? Is it still, are there cameos? I think I saw a little glimpse of one in some of the trailers. I want to know if the theme song from Ray Parker Jr. is there. I want to know if we see any familiar faces or any kind of slimy stuff. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the Ghostbusters is about that game. We were talking earlier off camera. The Ray Parker song is very much in there. You can't make this movie without it. But we also have all the stars back. We have, of course, I mentioned Dan Aykroyd. He's back as Ray Stantz. He's an aging Ghostbuster trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life. We see this picture here. We also have Annie Potts as Janine Melnitz. She's back. She's a full-fledged Ghostbuster now. Bill Murray's back as Peter Venkman, Dr. Peter Venkman. He walks in cool like the Fonz. We also have Ernie Hudson there. He's playing Winston. I want to see how many of these names I can remember without going to my notes here.
Pretty good.
We also have Paul Rudd back from the earlier movie in 2021, I believe. He's playing Gary, kind of a pseudo father figure. We also have, as I said, McKenna Grace as Phoebe. We have Carrie Coon as the mother. We have Finn Wolfhard as Trevor. We have Kumail Nanjiani. We have James Acaster. We have, how many other people do we have? We have Patton Oswalt. We have Logan Kim. We have everyone you could think of under the sun in this movie. And it's because the way that Ghostbusters really worked, it's a strangely perfect movie that's essentially about nothing. The first Ghostbusters, the characters from the beginning are the exact same characters as they were at the end. It's kind of a theme ride to show you all of the cool, fun stuff. So as we keep making these reboots, one of the difficulties in the Ghostbusters franchise is how do you mine something that was just about showing how cool and charismatic our main characters are for more sequels?
Good point.
This movie, the way it does it is a big chunk of it is showing all the cool things you remember. You remember Slimer? He's back. You remember the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? He's back. And we get the theme song as well. We get all of the fun stuff that we remember from the original.
So if that was perfect in the original, does that mean that this one, too, it works again? What do you think?
I have such a complicated relationship with the deep and challenging world of Ghostbusters. Because, as I said, the original is kind of simplistic. Again, I'm not insulting it. It is a little bit of a strange movie where you don't have character development or character growth. And the way that Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, has made a way around that is to clog this full of all of that old memories, but also to get character development, all these new characters in. We have a difficulty judging things from our past nostalgic things, but I would say, despite the bad reviews this has other than me, this is a good film.
Really, are there bad reviews out there?
Oh, it's really bad.
Oh, really?
I am the strong critic saying this movie is good. Your kids are going to love it. It's so much fun. It's very silly and contrived.
I think I was going to love it. I'm kind of depressed that people haven't. So, okay, in terms of who you're going to call, I'm going to call on Danielle, our director, and she's going to play a little something so we can talk about your number.
I'm so excited. Let me see what this looks like. These are always great. These always make me smile. 3.5 stars. I was getting distracted. 3.5 out of 5. This is silly, contrived. You've seen this kind of story before, but it's good. Go watch it.
I thought you were going to give it less than that after what you were saying. Danielle and Charlotte and John. Oh, we have to thank the team for that little Mooney movie every Friday. Hey, Jackson, thank you very much. See you when they make the next sequel. We'll come back and talk about that.